ventricle. Y'all remember this? RV, RA, right atrium. Now this is technically called the pulmonary trunk. Sometimes the pulmonary trunk actually divides into the pulmonary arteries. It's the pulmonary trunk is the technical term for that. And sometimes I would loosely say pulmonary artery, and I'm going to revise everything where I said, because it's actually the pulmonary trunk, and that thing will divide going to each of the lungs, of course. All right, and going to the right lung, the left lung. Then the blood comes back. This is going out. Then the blood comes back. It's going to come back by way of the what? The pulmonary veins into, and this is, everybody remembers this, that is the left atrium. What is this valve right here? Mitral or bicuspid. Comes into the left ventricle. And where does it go from there? There is a question on your test now. There is a question on your test with dealing with circulation of blood through. This is not your test. I don't have it ready yet. This is not yours, but here's one I had on this one. Here's one I had right here. Okay, just a minute. All right. Contraction of the right ventricle forces blood into the aorta, the pulmonary trunk, the pulmonary vein, the right atrium, or the foraminal valley. Pulmonary trunk. And if you were to see pulmonary artery, just say, well, he just forgot to change that. It'd be pulmonary artery, pulmonary trunk. All right, the contraction of the right ventricle. The right ventricle. All right, now what does everybody remember what the foraminal valley is? You remember that one, Adrian? You remember that, or it's kind of coming back? All right, the foraminal valley is between. It's an opening that all fetuses, all unborn babies, it will be there. What is the purpose of, what is the purpose of the foraminal valley and the ductus arteriosus? What is the purpose of that? You got any clue? Y'all remember?
Blood circulation to the lungs.
Do what?
To bypass blood
You got it. You're exactly right. And to bypass blood circulation to the lung and the fetus, because the fetus doesn't need it. Okay? And then as soon as birth happens, as soon as the birthing process happens, that foraminal valley closes, that ductus arteriosus seals off, leaving a ligamentum arteriosus, leaving a ligament there. And so that's kind of the way. But that's all very, very, very important and so forth. Okay. All right, now, coming down here, the death of an area of tissue because of an interrupted blood supply is called ischemia, embolus, thrombus, angina, infarction. Okay? Yeah, ischemia is reduced blood supply, which translates into reduced oxygen supply, which reduced oxygen is hypoxia. All right, everybody. All right, now, right in through here, I didn't have, on this particular test, much on respiration. I had a test, I had a thing on this one. From our studies in respiration, we found that sodium, Na+, in plasma combines with H2O, HCO3 negative, CO2, HB, H2CO3, HCO3 negative. Sodium bicarbonate is the primary way by which carbon dioxide is carried in the blood, and that sort of thing. And of course, what does COPD mean? Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And the lady that's in my class in 2401 that's does the EMT stuff, she says that is a major thing. They go on calls for COPD. People struggling to breathe, having a hard time. COPD, so it's a big issue. It's a big deal. All right, but anyway, everybody, the larynx is to the voice box as the blank is to the windpipe. Trachea, pharynx, epiglottis, bronchial, or alveoli. Trachea. The trachea, in layman terms, the trachea is referred to as the windpipe. Okay. All right. So anyway, now I don't have enough on this test on respiration. So there might be a question or two more on the respiration stuff on this test. On the all right, you might look. 1 gram of hemoglobin can carry 1.34 mLs of O2, and how much? Be sure and look over that. Take a look at that on the oxygen carrying stuff. Just look at that. Just kind of take a look at that on the oxygen. And we did that one. 1 gram of hemoglobin has carries 1.34 mLs of oxygen. Therefore, you know, like if you had, how many grams, 1 gram, if you had 15 grams per 100 mLs, 15 grams of hemoglobin per 100 mLs of oxygen, what would be the total amount of oxygen? It's got to be at least what? 20.1. Remember? You go back and look at that in your books. I'm not going to get into that right now. Go back and look at that in your notes. On the oxygen business. Look at that as far as respiration. There might be one question on that. All right. Do you think of anything else you would like to be asked on old material? Do you have any requests on old material? Anything that just jumps out at you on the old? Anything that really? Turn this thing off. Anybody got any questions over old material?
Maybe something easy like stomadium and property.
Like stomadium, property, okay, yeah. That would be good, yeah. Stomadium, property, that goes back to the early embryology, okay.